The first sign wasn't lipstick on a collar or some perfume that wasn't hers. It was a typo. Not even a big one. Just the word room instead of rooms in the group chat she forgot to leave. Just checked into the hotel. Can't believe we all fit in one room, face with tears of joy. One room? There were supposed to be 6 of them. Her sister Brielle, and 4 of their wine-loving, vacation-hungry bridesmaids. I stared at the message like it was written in Morse code. It didn't make sense. Noelle told me each of them was getting their own room. Said the bride's fiancé was paying for everything. That was her excuse for why the trip was super classy and why I shouldn't stress. And yet, there it was. One room. Not suites. Not, we're all crashing together for the vibe. Just one. I didn't even know I was still in the bridal group chat until that moment. They must have created it when I helped plan Brielle's engagement dinner last year. I guess Noelle assumed I'd left. I never did. So I scrolled. Quietly. Slowly. Carefully. The further I went, the less I recognized my wife. Noelle, your dress is a legal girl fire. Okay, but don't let towel boy from last night catch you again, face with tears of joy. Do we need a safe word for this rooftop thing? My heart started doing that annoying thing. Not just racing, but thudding, like it was trying to punch its way out of my chest. Still, I said nothing. That night, she sent me a photo of her holding a glass of rose on a balcony. She was alone in the pic, but I could see the reflection in the window behind her, a man's silhouette, leaning on the railing. She hadn't noticed. Or maybe she had, and just didn't care. The next morning, I woke up to chaos. Not from her. From the internet. A video had started spreading on a niche Reddit thread about vacation regrets. It had no names, just a blurry clip titled, "What Happens at Bachelorette Weekends?" I clicked it. The video was grainy, obviously filmed without the subjects knowing. A dim-lit rooftop. Laughter. Music. And there, under the string lights, was Noelle, wearing the same red dress she'd posted the night before. She was sitting on the lap of a man I didn't know. He was feeding her what looked like chocolate-covered strawberries. She threw her head back and laughed. He leaned in. Their foreheads touched. She kissed his cheek, then his mouth. Right there. In the open. In front of other people. The video cut out just as her hand slid under his jacket. I didn't realize I was holding my breath until I almost blacked out. And that's when it hit me. She hadn't gone to celebrate her sister's wedding. She went to bury ours. By the time I watched the video for the 10th time, my hands were numb. Not from the cold, from clenching my phone so tightly that my fingers forgot how to feel. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the living room floor, staring at the screen in the dark, watching my wife kiss a stranger while the internet laughed in the comments below. I kept waiting for someone to tell me it wasn't real, that it was a deep fake, a coincidence, a misunderstanding. But no one came. And Noelle? She still hadn't called. At 11:34 a.m. the next morning, she finally texted. Flight got delayed. I'll be back around 9 tonight. Love you. I stared at the message like it was written in a foreign language. No mention of the missed calls. No video. No apology. Just the same casual lie she'd probably used 100 times before. Except now I could see through every word like it was made of glass. And then, because the universe has a sixth sense of humor, something clicked. The man in the video, the one with his hands on my wife, he was wearing a blue hoodie. Not just any hoodie. A custom-made one. With a bright white graphic on the back that read, "Coach Alex, let's work." I had seen that exact hoodie before. A month ago, Noelle mentioned that her gym hired a new trainer. She called him obnoxiously positive and said his warm-ups made her feel like a drunk flamingo. She even joked about how all the women had a crush on him, but not me. "Babe, relax," she said, laughing as she pulled on her leggings. Coach Alex. I jumped onto Instagram and found his profile in seconds. He had 8,000 followers, a feed full of shirtless mirror selfies, protein shake reviews, and motivational captions like, "Dominate your Sundays." He also had a story highlight titled, "AZ Retreat Sweat Droplets." I tapped. There she was, my wife, in the background of one of his videos, laughing as she flipped her hair and danced in a group of girls. His camera wasn't even focused on her. She wasn't supposed to be the main subject. But there she was, clear as day. Same red dress. Same rooftop. Same timeline. Everything lined up. I didn't text her back. I didn't ask her to explain. Instead, I drove to the airport early. I wanted to see her face the moment she walked off that plane. I wanted to see if she'd lie to my face like she had through a screen. When she finally appeared at the arrival's gate, she was wearing sunglasses even though it was already dark. Her hair was perfect. Her steps were light. She smiled when she saw me. That same polished, practiced smile I used to believe in. "Hey, babe," she said, kissing my cheek like nothing had happened. "Miss me?" I didn't answer. I just stared at her. And that's when I saw it. Poking out of her carry-on, crumpled and half-zipped, was his blue hoodie. She noticed me looking, froze. For a single, flickering second, her entire face changed. And that was all I needed to know. She hadn't just lied. She hadn't just kissed him. She brought a souvenir. We didn't speak the entire ride home. Noelle sat in the passenger seat scrolling through her phone, pretending not to notice the silence pressing down between us like concrete. I could feel her stealing glances at me, searching for signs, a twitch, a sigh, anything to hint at what I knew. But I gave her nothing. I drove in absolute, seething silence. At one point she broke the tension with a fake laugh and said, "So much turbulence. Remind me never to fly with that airline again." I didn't respond. She shifted in her seat and tried again. "You okay? You've been weird since I got off the plane." Still nothing. I just kept my hands at 10 and 2, jaw locked, watching the road like I was steering through a minefield. When we pulled into our driveway, I saw the porch light blinking. Normally I'd be annoyed, another thing to fix. But this time I welcomed it. The flickering light felt like a warning signal. A siren screaming, "Wake up. Pay attention." As she reached for the door handle, I finally spoke. Calm, cold, like a man who'd already seen the end of the story. "You brought his hoodie," I said. She froze, hand midair. I watched her eyes change. She didn't ask who. She didn't say, "What are you talking about?" She just froze, like her body had momentarily lost its script. And that was enough. She recovered quickly, too quickly. "Oh, that? It's not what you think." I spilled wine on my dress and didn't have anything else to cover up with. "Alex just gave it to me. That's all." She said it like she'd practiced the line, rehearsed it in her head a dozen times before landing. But her voice cracked just a little on his name. "Alex." I got out of the car, walked around, and opened the passenger door for her like I always used to. She stepped out cautiously, clutching her purse like it might shield her from judgment. Inside the house, the dog barked once and ran up to greet her, tail wagging. She dropped to her knees and hugged him like it was the one safe thing left in her world. I walked past her and straight into the kitchen, pulled open the drawer where we keep the chargers. I handed her iPad. "Unlock it." She blinked. "What? Your iPad? Unlock it. I want to see the iMessage backups." She actually laughed. "Are you serious? That's insane. You're acting paranoid." I didn't flinch. "You said I was weird. Let's get rid of the weirdness, then. Prove me wrong." Her smile cracked. Her whole face did. The makeup didn't hide the fear anymore. And that's when she said it. The line that finally shattered what little I still had inside me. "If you keep pushing me, Emmett, I'll just leave tonight. I'll stay at Brielle's. Maybe longer." There it was. Not denial. Not guilt. A threat. A trapdoor, halfway open. I nodded slowly, like I understood. Then I set the iPad on the counter and said, "Then at least do one thing for me before you go." She crossed her arms, irritated. "What? Tell me how long it's been going on with him. And if this was the first time, or just the first time you got recorded." Her face flushed with panic, and for a second, just one, I saw something behind her eyes. Regret? No. Fear. Because she knew I had more than just suspicions. She just didn't know how much I knew. And in that moment, standing in our kitchen under that dying ceiling light, it finally hit her. This wasn't going to be a clean getaway. She wasn't coming home to the same version of me. She didn't answer my question. Not really. Just stood there blinking, eyes darting between the iPad and me, as if she could somehow rewind the last 5 minutes if she stared hard enough. But I had already crossed the line I'd spent years trying to avoid. The one between maybe I'm just overthinking and I know everything now. She started pacing, rambling, saying things like, "You're blowing this out of proportion," and "It was just flirting," and "You know how these trips are, everyone gets a little loose." Loose. That word made something snap inside me. I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. I just turned, walked to the office, and opened the drawer she never touched. The one where I kept receipts, printer ink, and the cheap little tracker I'd stupidly ordered 6 months ago when I got suspicious, but then never had the guts to use. Until now. Noelle had taken my car to the airport. That was her first mistake. I opened the tracker app on my phone, pulled up the log. There it was. Not just the airport. It had pinged 4 times in a residential area near the Scottsdale waterfront, nowhere near her hotel. I cross-checked the address. It matched the location tagged in Coach Alex's AZ Retreat Sweat Droplets highlight. A condo. A private one. Not a resort. Not a wine bar. She had lied about where she stayed. Lied about being in a hotel. Lied about everything. I walked back into the kitchen. She was still mid-sentence, still trying to spin some story about her friend Kenna instigating the whole night, about how it was just dancing and harmless fun. I didn't say a word. I just walked past her, connected my phone to the printer, and hit print all. Within seconds, papers started pouring out. Screenshots, GPS logs, Instagram stories, video stills. The hotel confirmation from Brielle's bridal registry, showing a completely different location from where Noelle had been staying. I let the printer speak for me. She turned around just in time to see her own life fall out in black and white. Page after page. When the final sheet slid out, the blown-up photo of her hand on Coach Alex's thigh under those rooftop lights, she dropped her phone. I finally spoke. So do you want to explain all of it? Or just the part where you brought back another man's hoodie and lied to my face? She didn't cry. I thought she would, but she didn't. She folded into herself instead, collapsed onto the chair like the floor gave out beneath her. And that's when she whispered something I'll never forget. It wasn't supposed to go that far. My stomach turned. That phrase, the universal anthem of betrayal. I asked her again, quietly this time. How long? She didn't look at me when she answered. Since the trial month at the gym. That was 7 months ago. 7 months of late-night spin classes, of group fitness retreats, of don't wait up for me. 7 months of making me feel insane for noticing something was off. 7 months of me defending her to my friends when they hinted she seemed distant. She looked up at me then, her eyes bloodshot, like she wanted me to hold her. But I was already gone. Not physically. Not yet. But something had shut off. The part of me that trusted her. That waited by the door when she was late. That made her coffee the way she liked it, even when we fought. That part wasn't asleep. It was dead. I didn't sleep that night. I just laid in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to her shallow breathing next to me. Every exhale felt like a reminder of how well she had lied. 7 months. That was longer than our last vacation. Longer than her father's hospital stay. Longer than the last time we'd made love without it feeling like she was somewhere else. She had rolled over in the night, mumbling in her sleep like everything was fine, like she hadn't just detonated our marriage, and watched me collect the debris with a straight face. But what really tore something loose inside me wasn't the hoodie or the rooftop or even the iPad lies. It was what came the next morning. Noelle left early to clear her head. I didn't ask where she was going. I just watched her drive off and waited exactly 9 minutes before I called her sister, Brielle. She picked up sounding groggy. Hey Emmett, everything okay? I didn't waste time. Just checking something. What hotel did you and the girls stay at in Charleston? Dead silence. I wasn't in Charleston. What are you talking about? My stomach dropped. She continued, confused. Didn't Noelle tell you I canceled last minute? I tested positive for strep the night before. I didn't go. It felt like someone had sucked all the air out of the room. Noelle said she went to your bachelorette weekend. I said slowly. She told me all of you were staying in that resort near King Street. Brielle let out a dry, bitter laugh. We didn't even have a bachelorette weekend yet. It's in 3 weeks. In Nashville. My mouth went completely dry. You mean, she lied about the entire thing? Oh my God, Brielle muttered. She told you she was with me? Yeah. And you weren't even in the state? No. I was in bed the entire weekend. I've got a prescription and a ruined voice to prove it. That was it. Confirmation. She hadn't just cheated. She had fabricated a whole event. Faked a family trip. Used her own sister as the cover story. It wasn't a slip-up anymore. It was calculated. When Noelle came home that afternoon, I was waiting for her in the living room. Calm. Quiet. Holding her wedding ring, which I'd slid off her bedside table while she was gone. She walked in, saw it in my hand, and froze. You spoke to Brielle, didn't you? She asked, her voice already trembling. I nodded. She wasn't in Charleston. And the bachelorette party isn't until next month. Which means you didn't just lie to me. You built a whole movie script and expected me to clap at the end. She didn't speak. Didn't cry. She just stood there. So I stood too. And I placed the ring on the mantel. Not the counter. Not her hand. Just somewhere visible. A symbol, like a funeral flower. You can sleep in the guest room tonight, I said. Or don't. You're good at hiding. I'm sure you'll figure it out. That was the first time in 5 years I saw her speechless. Not angry. Not defensive. Just caught. But this wasn't the end. Because the next morning, I got a message from someone I didn't recognize. A stranger. With one sentence. You don't know half of what she did in Scottsdale. And just like that, the story got darker. I stared at the message on my phone like it was a loaded gun. You don't know half of what she did in Scottsdale. It came from a throwaway account with no profile picture, no followers, and no previous posts. I read it 5 times, hoping it was just some internet troll fishing for drama. But then they sent another message. This time with a video attached. The file name simply read, Friday night _1. MOV. My hands were shaking before I even opened it. It started with low music and dim club lighting. Someone was filming from behind a curtain. I could see the edge of their drink resting on a table as they angled the camera. I recognized the location from Noelle's Instagram background. Same rooftop. Same lights. But this wasn't the polished, filtered version she had posted. This was what the front-facing camera never caught. Noelle was in the center of the frame, wearing the same red dress. Only this time, she wasn't kissing Coach Alex. She was with someone else entirely. A different man. Older. Dressed in a blazer. Balding slightly. Probably in his 40s. He had his arm wrapped tightly around her waist. Her hand was on his knee. She wasn't drunk. Her eyes were sharp, focused, and full of mischief. She whispered something in his ear, and he laughed. Then, in full view of whoever was recording, he handed her a key card. The video cut off just as she slipped it into her clutch. My vision blurred. I immediately messaged the account. Who are you? Why are you sending me this? A minute passed. Then a reply. She wasn't with just one guy. I was there. I saw everything. If you want the full truth, meet me. No police. No drama. My gut screamed trap. But another part of me, the part that had already been gutted, lied to, and mocked, needed answers. I told them to meet me at a coffee shop on the east side, in public, with cameras, where I'd be safe. 3 hours later, I was sitting across from a girl with blue streaks in her hair and a nervous twitch in her leg. She introduced herself only as Maya. She claimed she was one of the bottle service girls at the rooftop bar in Scottsdale. She didn't waste time. Noelle isn't who you think she is, Maya said. Alex wasn't the only guy. He wasn't even the first. I recognized her because she used a different name on the room log, Tessa Hart. Same ID photo. Different name. I was frozen. She stayed in 3 different rooms that weekend, Maya continued. One night she was with Alex. The next night she was with that older guy, some investor type. And the last night, she left alone with a guy I think was married. They went out through the kitchen exit. She always changed her hair, her makeup, like she'd done it before. I didn't want to believe it. But the video didn't lie. Neither did the rawness in Maya's voice. She didn't look like someone trying to blow up a marriage for fun. She looked scared of the truth. I didn't say anything at first, she said, because I thought maybe she was some rich guy's mistress or whatever. But when I saw the video blowing up and your name started popping up in the comments, I figured you had no clue. I asked her why she was telling me all this now. Her answer chilled me. Because she's planning something. Something about a reset. She said if it ever got messy, she had a way to start clean. I didn't understand at first. But then I remembered something. The private storage unit bill I found 2 months ago. The hidden bank withdrawals she claimed were for gifts. The burner phone I thought belonged to her cousin during a visit. Noelle wasn't just cheating. She was building an escape plan. And if I hadn't caught her when I did, she might have vanished without a trace, leaving me with a hollow house and a marriage I never even understood. This wasn't about infidelity anymore. This was about identity. And if I wanted to know what she was really hiding, I'd have to go somewhere no one else had looked yet. Into her past. I found the key in her old gym bag, tucked in the lining behind a ripped seam. She must have thought I'd never go digging there. But after hearing what Maya said, I checked everything. Pockets. Shoes. Makeup drawers. I wasn't looking for trouble anymore. I was following a trail she left behind, maybe on purpose. Or maybe because she didn't think I'd ever grow a spine. The key was small and silver, stamped with the number 314. I didn't recognize it at first, but when I searched through our credit card records, it hit me. There was a recurring charge from a storage facility 20 minutes from our house. A place called Boxhaven. She'd listed it under personal wellness in our shared budget tracker. I drove there without even telling my best friend. I didn't want witnesses. I wanted the truth alone, unfiltered. The man at the front desk didn't even ask for ID. Just took the key, checked the number, and pointed me down a hallway that smelled like dust and bleach. When I unlocked the unit, I half expected to find nothing. Or maybe boxes of old clothes, gifts she was hiding for someone else. But what I found was worse. A suitcase. Not one of ours. Inside were clothes I'd never seen. Heels, lingerie, a black cocktail dress. Underneath it, a second phone. Dead. I took it with me anyway. And at the very bottom, a folder. Stuffed with printed emails, hotel receipts, plane tickets. All under a different name, Tessa Hart. The dates matched every trip she told me was for work, with her sister, or just a spa day. There were multiple IDs. One of them had her picture, aged slightly, with a different birth date. I sat on the concrete floor, staring at it, heart thudding so loud I could barely hear myself breathe. My wife hadn't just cheated. She had another life, and she was preparing to leave mine behind like I was a placeholder. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted her to feel everything first. The same confusion, the same silence, the same slow unraveling that I lived through night after night while she laughed in other rooms and other lives. So I waited. For 2 full days, I pretended nothing had changed. I made her coffee. I asked how her recovery from the trip was going. I kissed her forehead when she went to bed. And during that time, I made my final moves. I contacted a lawyer. Quietly. A woman who'd seen worse cases and handled every document with surgical precision. I froze the joint account, transferred my savings, canceled every card she might have used under my name. I packed only what I needed: clothes, passport, laptop, the dog. I left her the rest. And then I printed one single photo. The one from the storage unit. Her in the black dress, arm wrapped around a man whose name I didn't even need to know. On the back, I wrote 5 words. You were never careful enough. Then I placed the photo on the pillow where I used to sleep. When she came home that Thursday afternoon, everything was gone. My clothes, my toothbrush, the books I always kept on the nightstand. Even my dog's food bowl was missing. She called me 37 times in 2 hours. I didn't pick up once. Not until the 38th, when she finally stopped yelling in her voicemails and just whispered, "Please come back. I don't even know who I am without you." That was the moment I knew I'd won. Not out of revenge, not out of ego, but because I finally saw her for what she was. A woman who couldn't keep her lies straight without someone else holding the corners down. I didn't reply. Instead, I turned off my phone, walked into my new apartment, and opened the window to let the breeze in. The city was loud but honest. I like that. Now, weeks later, I'm rebuilding, in peace. I sleep better. I eat better. I laugh, for real this time. And I've started talking to someone new. Not rushing. Not hoping. Just living. She taught me how to lose everything. But in the end, I found myself. And that was the best thing she ever gave me.